Hi friends, welcome back to 5 Minute Modern. My name is Cindy, and today we're taking a look at some of the most haunting paintings that I've ever seen. The surreal landscapes of artist K. Sage. And just one note before we begin, we will be discussing self-harm in this video. So as always, I encourage you to use your discretion in deciding whether this video is right for you or not. Sage was perhaps an unlikely surrealist. She was born in 1898 to an upper-class family in New York, where her father was a state senator. Sage's father sponsored her early art studies with various painters in Europe, but in 1925 she met and married the Italian prince Ranieri di San Faustino, which put her art career on hold. She lived an idle and aristocratic life for several years with the prince in Rapallo. However, the deaths of her father in 1933 and her sister in 1934 spurred her to leave her husband in 1935 after an annulment of their marriage, and to resume her artistic practice. In 1938, Sage visited the International Surrealist Exhibition in Paris, a major event for the rising Surrealist movement and a source of great inspiration for Sage. She was especially taken with the work of Giorgio de Chirico. De Chirico had long been a major influence on the Surrealists, especially due to his 1914 masterwork, The Song of Love. The painting's unusual juxtaposition of modernist architecture, classical sculpture, a green ball, and a rubber glove would inform a number of Surrealist works, grounded in the unease such strange juxtapositions can evoke. For Sage, however, the most interesting aspect of de Chirico's work was his stylized Mediterranean architecture, dramatic use of shadows, and almost otherworldly landscapes. Sage began experimenting with a more surrealist style of painting, creating landscapes with dramatic architectural features like those she had seen in work by de Chirico. Many of these early works also include oversized eggs, a recurring theme pointing to some personal system of symbolism, but the precise meaning of this symbolism would remain mysterious. Also in 1938, Sage met Yves Tanguy, already an important surrealist painter himself thanks to his landscapes filled with bizarre, fluid, organic forms. Sage and Tanguy fell in love and married in 1940. By that point, World War II was in full swing, and all of the surrealists were looking to flee the warpath and the persecution of the Nazis. Through her family wealth, Sage was instrumental in helping a number of surrealists immigrate to the United States, including the movement's leader, André Breton. In spite of her assistance, Sage received little support or encouragement from the surrealist group in return. Though Breton privately felt that Sage had talent, he always declined to consider her a surrealist artist. He and the other surrealists looked down on Sage for her bourgeois upbringing and mockingly referred to her as the princess in reference to her first marriage. Breton also criticized Sage's appearance, claiming that she was not attractive enough for Tanguy. The open misogyny shown towards Sage is certainly troubling, but it's actually in keeping with the general attitude of the Surrealist movement. As artist and historian Whitney Chadwick noted, the Surrealists prided themselves on their progressivism and rejection of conventional mores. The group included many women artists like Leonora Carrington, Ethel Colquhoun, and Toyin. And yet, the male Surrealists also held a fascination with an idealized and highly erotic woman as a muse to be objectified in service of male creativity. It was a movement that allowed women somewhat greater freedoms, but only in service of male interests. Even Tanguy, Sage's husband, often drank excessively and verbally abused his wife at parties. In spite of his abuse, she remained devoted to him, caring for him through each bender. However, in their Woodbury, Connecticut home, Sage and Tanguy kept separate workspaces in a divided barn, and it was here that Sage would find her voice. Sage often worried that her work was too derivative, and though I think she leaned heavily on the influence of de Chirico in her early paintings, as she continued working into the 1940s, she had a highly productive stretch of years painting work that I find to be completely distinct from the rest of the Surrealists. She maintained her focus on landscapes, but the Mediterranean architecture she initially favored was gradually replaced by open lattice work, or scaffolding, as though the constructions were gradually disintegrating down to their bones in her hostile world. Tanguy died in 1955, and Sage spent much of the final 8 years of her own life working to cement his legacy, and less time thinking of her own. Still, around the time of Tanguy's death, Sage painted what I consider to be her masterpiece, Tomorrow is Never. It's a hauntingly mournful landscape in which scaffolds hold large, cloaked obelisks as fog rises in a toxic gray haze. It's confusing and tragic in equal measure, conjuring a bleak reality in which the only certainty is suffering. I find few other paintings in art history to be as sharply affecting as this one is. It captures a profound sense of disorientation and hopelessness in a world that offers nothing beyond a slow and painful march into disintegration. Tragically, the painting would foreshadow the final years of Sage's life. Her eyesight began to fail not long after she completed the work, ending her career as a painter. Though she experimented with poetry and assemblage, she spent most of her time working on a monograph of Tanguy's work, while also battling worsening depression. In 1963, just after finishing the monograph, Sage took her own life by gunshot to the heart. Thanks so much for joining me and taking a look at this amazing artist. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.